Well, in 1990, I was a member of the Stratford Festival in the musical Guys and Dolls, and I met Deborah Joy there. And at the time, we were enjoying it, and they had a series of cabaret acts, cabaret evenings, I should say. So we decided that it might be fun to do a cabaret. I had some charts left over from the 50s, so we did that, and it was quite successful. And so about another month later, Bert Carrier, and several other people had come to see the show. Bert was our musical director, said it would be fun to play and do a show with me, and so he invited half of the band to use up my charts and write some of their own, and he played, and we had a wonderfully successful evening, which actually was the most successful cabaret they'd done at Stratford at that time. Then time went on, and I joined the Live Ent Company doing Kiss of the Spider Woman and Showboat. Did it in on Broadway. I did it in Toronto. I did it in Los Angeles and London. I did 2 shows, Kiss of the Spider Woman and Showboat. Then that took up almost, believe it or not, 7 years of my life with touring and going around. So I wasn't doing any cabaret at that time. And then I came back to Toronto and got involved in other theatre work, and cabaret was put aside for a while. And then Deborah Joy and Bob Misson, who are my partners in crime in this endeavor, decided that it would be rather a nice idea if they topped and bottomed the show that I had written for Camta, which was a one-woman show, also with David Warwick. They would start when I was born and go on up from there, include some of the cabaret show that I did, and add bits and pieces, and also end the show with my life as it is now. And that's basically how we started to do the show. Well, I started quite young singing. I've always sung since I was about 4 years old, and of course I've also liked to act as well. And my mother decided that it would be interesting if I were to take elocution. My father was very interested in Rudyard Kipling and Burns, so to get his attention as a young child, I used to memorize all these things and recite them for him. So elocution was what was happening at that particular time, and because I was too young to take singing lessons. So when I got a bit older, I started singing, and it was basically opera and also folk singing. I studied with a very famous folk singer, John Goss, who is living in Canada at the time. And those are the 2 sort of things I was singing. Then I joined Theatre Under the Stars. At that point, I really didn't know anything about musical comedy, but so they asked me on my opening day to sing something, and I sang an opera, and they said, "Can you sing anything else?" And I sang Happy Birthday to You. And that's how I got into the show. And so I worked there for a while, and then I went to England and did cabaret, and then came back to Canada and worked in television. And my influences at that time, then there was a lot of cabaret in Toronto at that time. It was very popular, and because I'd had all the experience in London with cabaret, I did a lot of cabaret, and then cabaret failed for some reason, and there were years and years and years where there wasn't cabaret. But my influences at that time was a woman called Mabel Mercer, who was a wonderful singer in New York, and the music she sang was almost like a I'm just trying to think of the word to use for it. It was almost classical cabaret, and I liked very much the songs of Gershwin, all the songbooks that had famous singers, and those are the kind of things that were an influence. And because I was an actor, I also was interested in words. Words are very important in a song, which a lot of people don't understand, especially today. And I think that we want to understand what's going on. It's very important to do that. And if you can move an audience with your acting job as well as singing, I think it's the thing to do. And those are my influences right now. Well, the show was actually basically set on my cabaret show. That was to start with, but of course it could have gone on forever with 3 people. So we chose things that really worked with the storyline that Deborah had written, and then I added some bits of my own. So in the life story, we needed to have songs that reflected that, and quite a few songs. Deborah is very good at that particular thing, and she chose songs that were perfect for the scene at the time we were doing it, but they also included a lot of my songs as well, which I wanted to sing, and Bob wanted to sing. So it worked out very nicely, because we did a lot of duets together, we did some trios, and all the songs that we sort of had picked them as we went along. Some we already had, and just kept working on it until we got something that we really liked. And that's basically, it is a long time to be working, and the show could go on forever, which you cannot do. So we just chose things that we all like to sing, and it worked with our show as well. It's a collaboration. And the decisions did come for rehearsal and collaboration, basically. And we threw songs in, and threw some other songs out. Just the timing wasn't quite right for what we wanted to do. And that's how we came to do our show. And I hope everyone enjoys it.